What is up, YouTube? Welcome to PanFro Games, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the best way to build all of the Hisuian Pokemon for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, because today Pokemon Home released with Scarlet and Violet connectivity, which means now you can actually bring over all of these Pokemon over to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which is going to be really exciting stuff. And I want to do a little bit of a mini series here today, focusing on the Hisuian Pokemon, and in future videos doing the Alolan Pokemon, the Galarian Pokemon, and even the legendary and mythical Pokemon as well. And of course, guys, like always, please leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you're new. I really appreciate it. And consider joining the Pan Fam today by hitting that join channel member button below. And our first build is going to be Ursaluna. And as a reminder for all these builds, we're going to be going over these builds in general. They can be used for competitive play, single player play, or raid action. Of course, you may want to tweak them a little bit for each different role, but these are going to be good for general usage for these Pokemon. Now, Ursaluna may be the best Hisuian Pokemon out there, and Flame Orb Guts is going to be massive. Flame Orb gives you a burn. Guts means that we actually ignore the burn of having our damage, and instead we're going to get a 1.5 times boost. And since we're normal and ground type Pokemon, Facade is going to be stab, and it's going to get double, so we have a 140 damage move with Facade right here, which is actually going to be phenomenal. And Ursaluna is one of the few Pokemon in the game that get Headlong Rush, which is essentially ground type close combat, and this is going to hit super hard. And for our third move, you can either put close combat if you want a really strong fighting type move, but I actually think Drain Punch is better here, because Drain Punch is going to give you that 50% damage dealt back in HP, and since we have a massive HP bar, this is actually going to do a lot since we do a lot of damage in general. Now, this last slot is going to be up to you, but Belly Drum is actually pretty phenomenal. If you do have a turn one setup, Belly Drum is going to maximize our attack, but you don't have to do Belly Drum. You could do a couple other things if you like. I mean, you could do something like Fire Punch or Thunder Punch, Ice Punch. You could do Play Rough in this slot as well. You can do Seed Bomb, Shadow Claw. There's a lot of coverage that you can do, or Swords Dance as well. And the stats are pretty simple. Max attack and 248 HP is the more optimal, but you can make this 252, and then the rest is Spadef and minus special attack. Instead of minus special attack, you could do minus speed, have 0 speed IVs for like a Trick Room team as well. Now for the starters, and the first starter that I'm most excited about is Hisuian Samurott. And we're going to be going with Sharpness, which increases the power of slicing moves by 1.5, which is huge. And then Scope Lens to increase that critical hit rate, making Night Slash and Aqua Cutter, since they're both high crit rate moves, a 50% chance of critting, and they're already going to be doing a 50% boost to their damage because of Sharpness, which is pretty massive. Sacred Sword is also affected by Sharpness, and Source Dance to further boost that physical attack by 2. And very simple spread. I'm actually going more on the Adamant Nature instead of the Speed Nature on this one, just because I feel like the damage is a little bit more important, because 108 isn't that high. Now for Hisuian Typhlosion, unfortunately our abilities are pretty bad, so I think it is better to go with Blaze in this case here. And your item is pretty free here. You could go with like a Leftovers, but I think Life Orb is a little bit better here in general, because you want to be actually taking out Pokemon here in general. Now for our moves, Infernal Parade is really good. If the target is already status, this does double damage, so this is a Ghost type 120 move, which is pretty good. And it has a 30% chance of burning as well, which is really good. Lava Plume, I have Lava Plume over Flamethrower because another 30% chance of burning, and this is another way to get Infernal Parade to be proccing, so 2 ways to getting that Infernal Parade proc is really good. Focus Blast is mostly that coverage. This is really going to be great against like those dark types, which we're going to have a lot of problems with in general, so Focus Blast is really for those dark types. And if we have time to set up, a Calm Mind is always going to be good. Very simple stat spread, max special attack, max speed, and we want to be fast, so we want that timid nature going on here. Now for our last starter, we got the Decidueye here. In the Decidueye, we're going to have that hidden ability, Scrappy, allows fighting type and normal type moves to hit ghost types, which is really good. I think Life Orb, just because we can do a little bit more damage going on. I mean, I really have been covering Teras, but you can either go grass or fighting here. Triple Arrows is the signature move. This move is crazy good. 90 damage, high crit rate, and 50% chance of the target going -1 defense, and a 30% chance of flinching. Unfortunately, our speed is really low, so that flinch really isn't going to come out unless we somehow outspeed. But if you are running a Trick Room team, the Decidueye here is going to be pretty solid. Leaf Blade is going to be our best physical grass move. Sucker Punch, because we are pretty slow at 60, Sucker Punch is going to go first if they did an attacking move, which is going to be really helpful. In the last slot, you have some open opportunities here. I think Sword Stance is pretty good because Sword Stance is going to make us an absolute threat because we have a pretty solid attack stat, but it's not high enough, so I think a Sword Stance is going to be pretty useful. But you could pick something like a Brave Bird here, or maybe you just want to go like a close combat or something a little bit stronger. And if you do put another attacking move, then I would actually suggest switching Life Orb for Assault Vest to further boost our Spadef. And we actually have pretty solid Spadef, but it's going to give us further longevity in general because we actually have some pretty decent bulk. It's just that we're pretty slow at the end of the day. Now for Kleavor here, I think Kleavor probably honestly wants to go maybe like a Tera Rock here just to further boost the Stone Axe. And Stone Axe is phenomenal. Sets up Stealth Rocks on the target side and does 65 damage. It is boosted by the ability Sharpness, which is the hidden ability here. So give this a 50% boost, and we're going to be doing a lot of damage. About what? I believe this is a 30% damage boost, right? Well, technically 32.5, but essentially we're going to be hitting for 105 power with Stone Axe. So we want to have Stone Axe over Stone Edge for sure. X Scissor actually also gets boosted by Sharpness, so that's going to be really huge. That's going to be making X Scissor do 120. And then coverage, close combat's going to be really good, of course, and one of the best moves in the game. And I actually like Trailblaze as the last move here because we're actually relatively slow with base 85. However, you know, every time we hit Trailblaze, our speed goes up by 1. And we are a rock type, meaning we have a move because Trailblaze is now a grass type move, right? We have a move that can hit the water type super effectively, which is going to be really useful. So I really like this general setup because we have all attacking moves. Assault Vest is going to be really great in general as well. And then we got Basculegion here. And Basculegion is an absolute monster of a Pokemon. Your item can really either be Assault Vest if you want to have that general bulk, or you could have Choice Band and just go for the actual damage banana mode. So both of these work. Definitely recommend the ability Adaptability. Make stab 2 instead of 1.5. Your Tera going to be Water or Ghost. Wave Crash is absolutely phenomenal move. Aqua Jet for the priority because we're not that fast, but it's going to hit really hard, especially Adaptability. And we have a pretty decent attack stat. Last Respects is banned on Showdown, but not in the game. So whenever one of your team's Pokemon faints, you get a plus 50 power boost, and this is going to hit really hard, especially something like VGC. So Basculegion is a threat for sure. And then your last move wants to be a coverage move. I think like Crunch is a really good coverage move in general. You could do Head Smash as well as something like that, maybe Ice Fang, but I really do like Crunch in this last slot. And very simple here. You want max HP, max attack. I mean, you could put one more in speed to get a little bit of outspeeding, or you could put something like a defense as well. And next up is Sneasler, and Sneasler's a really good Pokemon, and there's a couple of different options we have here. But I think the general setup is you always want to have close combat. You always want to have Dire Claw. And I actually think Fake Out is always going to be really good here too, just because it's always going to pretty much go first. And it has a 100% chance of flinching. It's going to break sashes for you, which is always nice. So, and you are a really fast Pokemon, so always guaranteeing that sash breaking and then being able to pop off of a Dire Claw or a close combat is going to be great. In the last move, you have a lot of different options here. I mean, U-turn's really good. You're a fast Pokemon with U-turn. That means, hey, I don't really like this matchup. Hit that U-turn, get out, break any sashes. But you also have a couple of other decent options. You can do like a coverage move, like a Fire Punch here is pretty good. You put like a Night Slash with a high crit. You could do Rock Slide, Shadow Claw, like a lot of really good physical options. You could also do a Sword Dance as well if you want to set up too. Now, the ability here is what makes Sneasler really interesting. Poison Touch is really good. Making all these moves have a chance of 30% poisoning is really good, especially when you have something like Dire Claw. Dire Claw is his signature move, 50% chance of sleep, poison, or paralyze. So you have that 50% chance, and then you're putting another 30% chance, and then Dire Claw is most likely going to poison every single time. But let's say you don't want to be poisoning, but you have Dire Claw, so you don't really care about this. But you could put Unburden. Unburden is the speed is doubled on this Pokemon if there is no item held. Well, if we get hit, our Focus Sash does get used up, meaning one, we won't get knocked down one hit, and then our speed is gonna be really fast. However, if you don't want to use Focus Sash, you could use something like Normal Gem. Normal Gem is gonna make this Fake Out hit really hard, and it's gonna boost that damage by 1.3. Then the item gets used, and then we get that Unburden boost as well. So there's two different options for Sneasler. The general spread is gonna be super easy. I mean, max attack, max speed, plus speed nature, because we want to be the fastest thing on the field because we are absolutely frail with that 60-80 defense combo and 80 HP. Now we have Overqwil, which is a really solid Pokemon. Poison Dark is phenomenal typing. And we have the item Black Sludge because we're a little bit bulky, so we can get that Leftovers effect with the Black Sludge on it, which is really cool. Now for ability, Poison Point or Intimidate are gonna be the two you really want to go for. You could put on the Rain team with Swift Swim, but that's gonna be pretty niche overall. Intimidate's really solid, so I probably recommend going with Intimidate in general. Now, its signature move is going to be Bar Barrage, and has a 50% chance of poisoning, and it doubles damage if the target's already poisoned. So this is gonna be a 120 physical poison type move that has a 50% chance of poisoning, which is gonna be really freaking good. And of course, you could, like I said, go at Poison Point just to give yourself a higher chance of getting those poisons off, which is gonna be really solid on an Overqwil to combo with that Bar Barrage. But like I said, up to you if you want to do Poison Point or Intimidate. Coverage moves, it doesn't have a lot of coverage moves. A Crunch is Stab, has a chance of lowering that defense. Liquidation, it's obviously a water type move, which is very good and has a chance of lowering that defense as well. And I really like Protect on the last move here because there's not a lot of like, you could put Aqua Jet, but the reality is you're going to be trying to poison the opponent, and if you poison the opponent, they're going to lose HP every turn. And because we have Black Sludge and using Protect, they lose HP, you gain HP by using Protect, and it's like nothing happened to you. So I actually like Protect over something like Aqua Jet, but Aqua Jet is another solid option here. Max HP, max attack is pretty solid. With 4 speed IVs or EVs is going to be really good. Now Enamorus is going to be our phenomenal legendary Pokemon that was newly added. And a pretty simple spread here. We're going to be going with that, you know, max special attack, max speed. Moonblast is the absolutely phenomenal fairy type move. Sludge Bomb is going to help you in the mirror match against other fairies. It's going to be really good. And Earth Power is going to be used against the steel types that normally beat fairies. That gives you something to actually strike back with. I think a Life Orb is going to be really good just to give us that extra boost. And if you find some time to set up, you can use Calm Mind. But, you know, you could go all attacking moves and put something like a Heat Wave on here. You could put a Draining Kiss. You want some HP sustain as well. Focus Blast is pretty decent here. But, you know, Psychic is another option. I wouldn't recommend that, but, you know, you could. Tailwind's an interesting option too. We do have the hidden ability Contrary. So if someone tries to lower your stats, instead your stats are going to go up. That could be really helpful. However, Cute Charm is really good. You have a 30% chance if a Pokemon makes contact with you, they are infatuated, so they have a chance of not hitting you. So up to you. I think Tera Fairy is very solid. It does have another form. Unfortunately, his ability is only Overcoat, which is pretty lame in this form. However, the stats are absolutely massive on the defenses. Still has that crazy high special attack stat. And its speed is really slow, which makes it a phenomenal Trick Room sweeper. And especially because it's special, makes it really unique. So I think we go Assault Vest with all 4 attacking moves: Moonblast, Earth Power, Mystical Fire, and Sludge Bomb. So something like this is going to be really good for Trick Room teams. I actually think it's going to have a lot of viability as well. Now, Hisuian Arcanine, unfortunately, it's just worse Arcanine, and I think we need to just lean into why would he even use this thing. I would actually make this Tera Rock, because we have the ability Rockhead, and Rockhead makes it so we don't take recoil from recoil moves. So Choice Band, Rockhead, Head Smash is going to probably be where we're going to put our memes at. I mean, 150 attack is, or 150 power is going to be massive on this thing. Raging Fury is going to be 120 fire move, and we don't take damage from it. But of course, you know, we can do Flare Blitz instead, actually, because we are using Rockhead. If you don't use Rockhead, you can use Intimidate, but just watch out for that Head Smash. And Flare Blitz not taking anything from it is going to be really good too. And then for coverage moves, Close Combat, always phenomenal. Extreme Speed, always one of the best moves in the metagame. And you could go Adamant, or you can go Jolly here for your nature. That's going to be up to you to decide. But definitely max attack and max speed for sure, because you want to be outspeeding and hitting things hard. And then Hisuian Electrode, which I guess is better than regular Electrode, but it's not too great. Honestly, the whole thing about this Pokemon is we're just going to go max speed, max special attack, and honestly, maybe go with a modest nature, and we're going to go choice specs for sure. Your ability doesn't really matter at all here, because all we're going to be doing is the signature move Cora Blast, and Cora Blast is a 150 special grass type move, and you lose 50% of your max HP. Phenomenal move though. I mean, with choice specs, Tera Grass, like we're just popping off with this guy. So that's the best thing you can really do with Hisuian Electro, because this thing's moveset is pretty bad otherwise. Thunderbolt, Volt Switch are pretty solid coverage moves and allows you to pivot, and you really don't have a good move for the last one. So Explosion is funny. You could put Foul Play here. I maybe Protect, Reflect. You know, you don't really have too much going on. Taunt is up to you. And for our last batch of Hisuian Pokemon, we got Lilligant out here, and Hisuian Lilligant is going to be a phenomenal Sun Sweeper, so I still like that Chlorophyll on it, but you could go with Hustle if you don't want to use it on a Sun team. Always like Focus Sash on this Pokemon just because we are pretty frail. We don't have a lot of bulk in general, but we do hit pretty hard and we are pretty fast, so Focus Sash is always going to be good. Guarantee yourself getting 2 hits out of here. Signature move is Victory Dance, which is just physical Quiver Dance, which is phenomenal. So essentially turn 1, you're always Victory Dance, and then after that, you start popping off. I really like Axe Kick here, but you could use Close Combat instead. Axe Kick, a lot of people haven't seen this, but it's just as strong as Close Combat, has a 10% chance of actually missing, but 30% chance of hitting a Confusion, which is huge. But if you do miss like High Jump Kick, you lose 50% of your max HP. High risk, high reward, up to you. Close Combat's more consistent, but you get those guaranteed drops. Axe Kick, a little bit more fun with that 30% Confusion. Up to you though, so if you want to do Close Combat, that's just as fair. Leaf Blade's gonna be our best physical grass move. And then coverage move, honestly, Poison Jab's gonna be really good here. I mean, you could go like something like Acrobatics if you want to as well. It does learn Ice Spinner, which is really interesting, so that actually works super well too. And I mean, if you want to go with a status move, you could do Sleep Powder, which is really phenomenal. One of the few Pokemon that's really good that does get Sleep Powder. Unfortunately, it doesn't get Spore. And you could go, you know, you can go with an Adamant Nature, or you can go like with a plus attack, minus special attack for a Jolly Nature as well. Up to you on what you want to do with this guy, but there's actually a pretty decent amount of options with Hisuian Lilligant. I think a lot of people were surprised how good that Pokemon actually is. Now, Hisuian Zoroark, I know a lot of people already had this Pokemon from before because the pre-order DLC bonus for SV. But, you know, here we go. And this Pokemon, very simple. We're going max special attack, max speed with a Timid Nature, but you could go modest if you would like to. And I really like the item Expert Belt on this thing just because you have a really good move pool. So you can be hitting a lot of super effective moves with this thing in general. But you could do, you know, some other things. I mean, you could do Life Orb here. Signature move is Bitter Malice. Bitter Malice, 75 damage, which is actually pretty solid. It's just 5 less than Shadow Ball, but it has a 100% chance of lowering the target's attack by 1, which I think is a good trade-off in my opinion. You have Nasty Plot, of course, to set up some big special attack bonuses. Sludge Bomb, phenomenal move. I mean, Poison's so good because Fairy is so phenomenally good. And then Flamethrower is that nice coverage move in general. You could go Calm Mind instead of Nasty Plot, but I think because we're frail, I think it's better to go with Nasty Plot in general. But you get some other solid things. I mean, Focus Blast is another decent option. Hyper Voice, because you are normal type, you do get that stab boost as well. So that's another really good option as well. If you want to remove something like Flamethrower for that, you can go Hyper Voice. But that's going to be up to you on that. Now, Hisuian Braviary, really phenomenal Pokemon, mostly because of this ability. Hidden ability is Tinted Lens. Essentially, if a mover resisted, it actually does double damage. So let's say like we hit a Steel type with a Psychic type move. Well, instead of being resisted, even though it's not very effective, the damage is doubled. So all your not very effective moves are now going to hit for neutral, which is going to be really good for switch-ins and things like that. You could also run Sheer Force as well. You remove your secondary effect from all your moves. However, get that 1.3 power boost. But I think Tinted Lens is a little bit more interesting personally. And I like Leftovers on it just because we are pretty slow and we are pretty bulky. So, you know, getting a little bit of sustain going on here. I like Calm Mind because we don't have Nasty Plot, and boosting our special attack and our special defense is going to, you know, be really nice. It could put us in a situation where Leftovers can actually get a lot of, you know, a lot of use from us in general. A signature move is Esper Wing, which is really good. Has a 100% chance of actually raising our speed stat by 1, making us a bit faster, which is really helpful. And has a high crit rate too, so we get a 12% chance of critting with Esper Wing. and you know, we get some speed boost, then these air slashes are going to be really helpful because a 30% chance of making the target flinch is going to be huge, especially once we start outspeeding, meaning we can actually getting those flinches off. Then the last move is a coverage move. Heat Wave for those steel types is always going to be useful, especially after a couple combines. You're going to be popping off, but you can use Dazzling Gleam in this slot as well. You could go maybe with like a Hyper Voice. You could run Hurricane as well. Of course, if you're on a rain team with Hurricane, that's going to be really useful. And, you know, Shadow Ball is another decent option here too. Could go with Tailwind for support if you want to have a much faster team overall. But it's very simple build, max on HP and special attack. Now, Hisuian Goodra is going to be phenomenal. I actually really like the Assault Vest build on this thing because this Pokemon has insane stats. I mean, that Spadef from Assault Vest, oh my god, you are not dying on the special side at all. Max HP, max special attack is phenomenal. No speed investment. I would actually suggest maybe 0 IVs because maybe on a Trick Room team, this thing will start popping off super hard. And for your moves, you can go Draco Meteor or something like a Dragon Pulse here if you would like. And then Flamethrower is always good to have a fire move on dragon types in general. Get through those steel types. Sludge Bomb for those fairies, and then Flash Cannon for our dual stab coverage with Dragon Pulse and Flash Cannon. I really like Sap Sipper here over Shell Armor and Gooey because one, we have so much defensive stats. I don't care about crits too much. And Gooey, sure, having them being slower is always good, but we're never gonna outspeed. What I like about Sap Sipper is we are going to be immune to grass type moves, and yeah, we quad resist grass, so it's not a big deal, but we are immune to Spore, which is going to be huge in VGC and even raiding like against an Amoonguss. So if you are facing Amoongusses in VGC or raiding against an Amoonguss, Sap Sipper for sure. If not, it's up to you on Shell Armor or Gooey. Gooey is probably better overall on a team comp way, but Shell Armor is always going to be good in general. And then the last Hisuian to talk about is going to be Avalugg here. And this Pokemon's not that great, but we're just going to be going max HP, max attack, Adamant Nature. No speed IVs because might as well on a Trick Room team. And I guess Tera Rock, Sturdy is the best ability for it. You could go Strong Jaw instead. So you get a 1.5 times boost for your bite moves, which is pretty good. But I think Sturdy is really good. And then our item could be like Leftovers, or you could be like Choice Band because you just don't care because you're using this Pokemon in general and you just want to knock out things because you're probably going to die too. So that's up to you. Body Press is phenomenal because our defense stat is what boosts body press damage. Avalanche, this power is going to double if we go second, which is pretty much always going to happen. If we are Choice Band, we can't really use Recover, so you could use something else here like Crunch. And then Stone Edge is going to be our best rock type stab move. So that's pretty much what we have going on here with all the Hisuian Pokemon. I hope this video was really helpful for you. I'm building all the different Hisuian Pokemon. Feel free to screenshot these builds and use them for either VGC or raiding or single player or whatever you want to do with them. Of course, feel free to ask me questions in the comment section below. Leave your builds behind in the comment section below as well. And I do plan on doing the Alolan and the Galarian and maybe some of the legendaries as well later this week. Anyways, guys, if you found this video helpful, please leave a like, subscribe if you're new. I really appreciate it, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out, and have a good one.